All right, welcome to this new lesson on lists. Now, for this particular lesson, we are using Xcode 13 and we're using iOS 15. So if you're using Xcode 12 and below, 12.x and below, this only one of the functions here will work. The others are new for Xcode 13, new for iOS 15, and these are features I have been waiting for forever. As a long time UI kit developer, I feel that these features are just mandatory. Like they should not have taken this long, in my opinion. But I'm glad that they're here now, and let's get into this and start building this new app today. So, what I want to do is demo the final product. All right, so we'll start off with a home page here, and notice that I've organized it in features terms of expanding lists, so iOS 14 and up. But then the other two are iOS 15 and up with the brand new features I've been waiting for forever. So if I hit expanding list, we have the list here of our beloved characters from Monkey Kiss and Donkey 2, the game that I've built. So I expand Monkey, I'll see Monkey's website, I'll see two of his moves, so Death Kiss and Flying Kick. If I expand Yoti, I see his website, I see Moon from Hell and Super Kick. If I expand Walla, right, so I'll see his moves. If I expand Hita, I'll see her moves, and so on, right? So we have the expanding lists going on. The next one is the searching list. So if I tug down on the list, I'll see that the search bar pops up. And if I type in like M for monkey, or if I type in A for Ion, if I type in Y, I'll get two results, so Yoti and Yina. Right, hit cancel, hit back, and finally, and this is the feature I've really wanted, swiping list. So if I swipe from the right to the left, I see two new buttons come up, and if I click on them, I'll see in the console we'll set it up so that there'll be print messages. So realistically, you do something real with it. If I swipe from the left, I see I have some buttons there as well. So this is the app we're going to build today. So first things first, let's create a new project. So first thing I have to do is start off with a new project, and it has to be in Xcode 13 because otherwise it will be pointless other than you following along with the expanding list, which we'll start with first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new group, and I'm going to call this group Content Views. I'm just going to drag my content view.swift into content views. This is going to be my home page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3 more content views and get them out of the way. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to say new file, and it'll be a SwiftUI view. And I'm going to call this one expanding list. And it'll reside under content views. I'm going to add another new file. And be iOS SwiftUI view again. And this one will be called searching list. All right, add it right there. Finally, one more new file and SwiftUI view. Hit next, and I'm going to call it swiping list. All right, so let's start off inside content view and build out our UI and actually get everything going for this. So first thing I'm going to do is just take away what I got here under content view. We'll start off with a navigation view. And within it, I'll put a VStack. And we know that in newer iOS versions, having a default VStack isn't really necessary, but we're going to put it in anyway for completeness. Let's start with a little title. So we'll say text. We'll say more lists. We'll say iOS 15 and up recommended. And we'll put some padding around it of 50. Now I'm going to get rid of this sidebar. Don't really need it. Let's get more space going for our code. Now let's start with our navigation links to the 3 pages we just added right now. So we'll start with a navigation link, and we'll say its destination is. We'll start with the expanding list. We'll instantiate that. For its button, we'll put text saying expanding list. And we'll say iOS 14 and up. Put some padding around that of 50. We'll do another navigation link, and we'll say its destination will be the searching list. Its text will say searching list. We'll say iOS 15 and up. So this will be an iOS 15 and up. We'll say dot padding of 50. Finally, navigation link. We'll say destination of swiping list. And its text will be swiping list iOS 15 and up. And padding of 50. All right, so we have enough to run, verify that we are running this on that we have our full page navigation going. So let's get play. Make sure that your simulator is something more reasonable. You know that by default they throw the iPod Touch on, which I find is unreasonable. So I switched over to iPhone 12 Pro. It's using iOS 15, and let's give it a go. All right, so we got expanding list, iOS 14 and up, hello world, as I expected. Searching list, hello world. Swiping list, hello world. So everything is up and running. Now, just to be sure that everything is up and running before we see any issues, I'm just going to switch over to project settings for a moment. I noticed that my deployment info says iOS 14, which will probably lead to some compile errors as I start coding this. So I'm going to switch my deployment target to iOS 15. So I don't have any issues or compile errors and wonder what's going on with my code. So you'll want to do the same. Switch your deployment target to iOS 15. Okay, so we're done with content view. Now what we want to do is switch over to expanding list and make that expandable list. But before I do that, you notice that I had some images in my application. So what you're going to want to do is find some logos, or you can omit the whole logo portion of this if you want to, and just build this out without any graphics. That's perfectly fine as well. But I'm going to add some graphics to my assets file here. So I have an assets file already generated as part of the default. Now what I need to do is I need to drag over, and I already have some ready to go. So I'm just going to grab those and pull them into my assets file. If you need to pause this video, you go right on ahead and pause this video and find your graphics. All right, so I've added my characters from my game Monkey Kissing Donkey 2. I've got Ion, Donkey, Hita, Llama, Monkey, Walla, Yina, and Yoti. And what I'm going to do is now switch over to expanding list and start coding out expanding list. So the first step you have to do is define an identifiable model. And we did this in our last application for this this tutorial for basic lists. Now we're going to do the same thing again. So I'm going to say struct team. We'll call it characters. No, because character is a reserved word. I'm going to call it team. Just to keep, because we'll consider them all on a team. And we'll say it's identifiable. All right, now with identifiable, it is mandatory to have one variable be, because be ID and of type UUID. You'll notice that does not conform to the protocol identifiable until I do a var ID extends UUID. And You may wonder, what am I doing with UUID? Just to recap, think of it like if you know databases and you know tables in databases where that there should be an equal sign, by the way, where you have that ID column in a database table and it auto increments. You set it up to auto increment. UUID plays the same role as that. It's just going to auto increment an identifier for every time this object is instantiated. So I've got ID. I'm going to say var name will be string. We'll say var logo is also a string, so we'll take the name of the image. Now here's the thing, for the remaining items we're going to have a few extra items, like we'll have like favorite move or moves or favorite food or whatnot of each character here. But the thing is, they're going to be details. So our starting point will be to have the name and its logo, right? And then details afterwards, they'll come under a special variable called items. And items, now here's the interesting thing. For this to happen, items has to be an array of the same object that we're talking about. So an array of teams, all right? So we have name, logo, item, and item is an array of itself in a way, which is kind of strange, but it's kind of, and this is where recursion comes in. So it's going to be a recursively created item. And this is kind of where I kind of have a little bit of an issue with this, because I would rather just be able to build out my identifiable the way I want, and then be able to specify which items are part of this items category. But it is what it is, and Apple's designed it the way it has, and we just follow it. So anyway, this is our model. Now, what we're going to do inside expanding list is we're going to define our data. All right, so just above the body, I'm going to, and I'll get rid of some of these extra blank lines. We don't need them. So I'm going to start by saying let teams, which expands an array of team, equal, open a square bracket. I'm going to close my square bracket like way down here. So my first team that I'm going to instantiate will be, so we'll say monkey, and its logo will be monkey. I'm just going to double check monkeys. Okay, so monkey has a lowercase m. All my characters have lowercase initial characters, so monkey with a lowercase. And then what you do is, for your details, all right, I'm going to put a new line here so it's more readable. So items, all right. In fact, let's just make it proper here. So we got name is monkey, logo is monkey. Now items will be a new array of instantiated team objects. So I'm going to say team, and we'll say that his website is https://www.projectmkd.com/monkey. All right. Logo I'm going to keep empty. All right. See, this is where I kind of have an issue with this style of building this thing, because I only need a logo for my logo of this. But I mean, you could take it further, have like maybe generic dots or something to satisfy this. But I'm going to go with nothing for the logo. Or you can just repeat the logo again if you want. All right, maybe, you know what, let's, for design's sake, let's go monkey for each of these. All right, you don't have to, you can keep it blank. All right, now because this is an array, I can do another new line. We'll say team, name. So that was the first thing. We have the website. The second thing we're going to have now is, let's say, one of his moves. So the death kiss is one of monkey's moves. We'll say logo is also monkey. All right, let's add one more item in for details, and we can keep going with details, but we'll stop at 3. And we'll say name is, so this third item, we'll say flying kick. Or you could maybe say his favorite food if you want. Logo is also monkey. And that's it for this first one. So this matches up with that. And then this matches up with the initial team. So now I can go on to my next item. And I got to do this for 8 of them. So my next one is team. And we'll say donkey. Logo is donkey lowercase. That's the name of my logo there. And now for items, I have to start a new array. And this will be team. And so name will be https://www.projectmkd.com/donkey. Logo will be donkey. Next item in the list will be another team. Name is, and he also actually has the death kit as well. Logo is donkey again. Now I could keep logo blank like I said earlier, but I won't. And we'll have one more team. And this will be, we'll say, super kick for his other move. And we'll say donkey again. All right, third item. All right, and we'll just forge ahead with the remaining characters. All right, so I just jumped ahead and finished off my array. It's got 8 characters in it. So, and I added all the moves for it. I just did a control or command B to build, just to verify I don't have any missing or out of place characters like round brackets, commas, and so on. So it looks like I have all my characters in there. Now, you'll notice that I'm repeating the logos here. You can consider these logos in my items array to be like bullet points, right? And I'm gonna match them up with the same logo as the main logo. All right. So now I have my data here. Let's go ahead and build out a list to display these items. So I'm going to take away this hello world. I'm going to put in a list, and we'll put in teams. And the second argument for the list after teams will be a new keyword called children, which will represent the sub objects or the minimized objects here. So children will be /.items, so matching the items portion of our model. And inside of the curlies, we're going to say each row, we'll call it row in. And now all I'm going to do in here is design out my my row, and I'll just say image row.logo, and this should be inside an H stack really. Just for completeness. So we got image row.logo, and then we got text row.name. I add a little bit of design to it by saying font will be headline, and we'll just say that the foreground color will be black. All right, we have enough to run. Let's see what this expanding list looks like. Now you can see here, my images are way too large, and they are killing off the size of everything here. So what we need to do is we can either resize them down, or we'll have to scale them down. Now, you'll have to be careful with the images you use. What you want to do is you want to reduce things down to the size that you need. All right, so in order to account for that oversized image issue, we need to now look back at what we did in our last exercise for lists. And in image, it isn't good enough to just say image and hope for the best. We need to add some properties here. So first off, .resizable, all right? .scale to fill. All right. And then dot frame. So we're going to say width. So we're going to say width will be 45. Height will be 45. Alignment will say dot center. And finally, let's add some padding. Dot padding of 20. Although, you know what? I'm going to forego the padding. Let's reduce the padding almost to nothing there. And let's try again. We can play with the padding in a moment. There we go. Expand monkey. Now you have all these bullet points. Now, if I had left the logo empty for items, I'd see nothing here. And that's okay too. All right, donkey has his stuff. Llama. All right, so going down to Hita, looks like Ion is missing an image. So most likely I have a typo, and I do actually can see it from here. Ion has a capital A here, but Ion's supposed to have a lowercase a, and so that's why we have a little boo-boo there. Let's just fix it up. All right, so fix that right there. Run it again just to verify that Ion has his correct. And there he is. All right, so far so good. That was the expanding list. So this is very powerful and very useful for when you want to have details and sub-details. You just have to acclimate to the way Apple has designed the list and make sure that you are using it in this way. So your sub items always go under an array. You don't have to call it items, you can call it details, whatever, but it has to be of type array of the same object that you are in. So that is the expanding list. Now let's move on to search. All right, so now let's move on to searching list. So I'm going to switch over to the searching list file. And I'm going to create, now we have to start with a new model again. So I'm going to say, because I don't want to have the details in it. I mean, we could, but no, I'm not gonna go that route. So what we'll do is we'll say struct. I'm gonna call it Z team for lack of a better name, and we'll say identifiable. We'll have a var ID which extends UUI, actually not extends, but equals UID instantiated. Now we'll have var name, which is a string, var website, which is a string, and var logo, which is a string as well. All right. Now let's design out our cells to look decent. So this will be a recap of the last video where we have our cell design. So we want to create a design for each row. So we're going to say struct, call it Z team row, extends view. And we're going to expect to be passing in a var, calling it team extends Z team. So we're expecting a Z team object to be passed in. And now let's design our body here. So we'll say var body extends some view. And now we need now the way it's designed, as you saw with the last exercise, is the same idea. We'll have an H stack with our logo and our name of our character next to it. But the thing is that we want to have a V stack where the name is to have the name and the website going on there, just like in the last video. So we'll say H stack. Start off with image, which will be team.logo, and we'll say the same as a moment ago. So if I look at expanding list, I'm just going to take the same attributes we had before. We'll put in resizable, scale to fill. It's frankly 45 by 45 aligned center. A little bit of padding going on there. All right. Now for our two labels, we'll have a V stack. So they'll be one above the other. We'll start with a text that will have team.name. All right. It will have a .font of .headline. it will have a dot foreground color of dot black, and it will have a dot frame of width, height, alignment. So width will be, we'll just hard code it to like 300 for lack of a better number. Height, sorry, not dot, but 30 height. Alignment. Now the whole reason I have this is because of dot leading, as we talked about in the past. We want to be right justified. Our second text will be team.website. All right, its font, not foreground color, we'll start with font, will be dot subheadline. Its dot foreground color will be dot blue. Dot frame. Again, same width, height, so we'll just hard code to 300. Height 30 again. Alignment dot leading. All right, and that's our design for our cells. And if you want, you could put a nav bar title, which I'm going to do down here. Say navigation bar title. Not finding the autocomplete I want. And we'll say MKD characters. All right. So that's our design. Now let's populate it with some data. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down to my actual view. So searching list, struct searching list. I'm going to just drop this text here for title. Now, before we can get into, and don't worry about the errors, that's okay. Let's add our variables first. So we'll say let teams, which extends an array of zteam, equal, open up some curlies, and now I'm going to go through the same process of redefining my data, but only reason I'm doing that compared to the last time is because I don't want the sub items there. I just want to have 3 items. So I'm going to instantiate a zteam, and it'll have name, website, logo. Perfect, that's what I want. So monkey website https://www.projectmkd.com/monkey. His logo is monkey. All right, and then zteam, and you get the picture. I'm just going to jump ahead and finish this off. All right, so I did jump ahead. I finished off my array. I paused the video to do so, and I'm just going to get rid of this little extra comma. I won't do a command B just yet because you can see the errors there already. So we've got our data, and you can pause the video and finish off your data as well, and then continue on after. Make sure there's no coding errors with your array of items. Now we need to add in a couple more variables for search. All right, and so the way we're going to do it is the first variable is going to be a state variable. So I'm going to say @state, and we'll say private var. I'm going to call it search text, set it equal to nothing. Now, this is the variable that's going to be tracking what's entered into our search bar for our table, or sorry, our list. I keep calling it a table. So from UI kit days. And so that's gonna be the variable that'll track that. Now we need another variable to track our search results. And this will be an array of zteam objects. So we're gonna need another array of data, but it's only gonna be a subset of our searching objects. So I'm gonna say var, call it search results. It's gonna extend an array of zteam objects. All right, and open up our curlies, and we're going to define what it's going to be. So first off, if there's no data in our search text, so if search text like above is empty, so we'll say if search text is empty, then we'll just return our teams, so our array above, so the full list. Else, my here. Cursor is jumping around all over the place. All right. Else, we're going to return teams.filter, and in curlies, we need to provide $0. So our search result dot name, we'll search based on name, dot contains search text. And that's it. So that's our last variable. This one handles our search results. So again, search text, so whatever the text is. Search results. When we search, how much of the array above do we want? If the search is empty, send me back the whole array. If there's if there is some search text and we start some typing in the search bar, filter out our team's array above, right? Based on name that has search text. That's what this means. All right. So we have enough now to implement our list. Now, let's implement our list. So I'll put that there, and inside body, what we're going to do is we're going to define a list of what? Not of teams, but of search results. All right. So we're going to do our list based on our search results. And we're going to say here is T in, and we're going to instantiate a Z team row passing in a T. Now let's make our list. So get rid of this extra line. We'll make our list dot searchable with our text being $search text. But let's add a prompt to say search for a character. And you can add a navigation bar somewhere. So we'll say, sorry, navigation title that is. And we'll say searchable. All right, let's give it a shot. See what happens. So go to our searching list. There's all of our items there, all of our characters here. If I tug down on the list, you see the search bar pop up. Let's try M. So monkey pops up. D for donkey. Let's put A for ion. 2 A's, nothing. So the search is based on, me starting to type in the beginning of the character. Because you notice monkey and donkey end with E's. So I thought EE. No. Let's try a lower. No, won't even let me do lowercase. Y's. So 2 Y's pop up for EOT. W, Walla, Ion, right? So essentially, we now have searching capability. So now you can add search to your lists. All right, let's get into our last portion for this app, which is the swiping list. So what we do is hit stop, switch over to swiping list. All right, so now for our last one. This is like my favorite feature of all, the swiping features. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with just copying the data from our searching list. I don't want to retype this over again, but I just want to reuse this. So I'm going to copy this over. So copying over this entire block array of data that I'm going to paste into here because I don't feel like retyping. And you'll notice that Z team already exists inside searching list, so I don't have to worry about that. And Z team row already exists inside searching list. We already typed it out, so I'm just going to reuse it and just build out a new, and just focus on building out the list with these searchable buttons. So I'm going to do inside, and you may actually not want to have a separate view, but even just continue on with searching list view. But I just thought for clarity, I'd keep things separate, but for educational purposes. But you could actually continue on with searching list and add the following to it. So first off, let's build out our list. So we'll say list. This time I'm going to say teams. And inside the curly brackets, it'll be T in Z team row. So team will just be T. All right. And let's verify everything goes well. Looks like everything's clean. All right. And just going to hit run. We're not done. Let's just hit run. And hit swiping list. Got our list there. Everything looks clean. Everything looks good. All right. We learned how to click on this stuff last app. We're not going to worry about that now. So now, let's get into adding some functionality, some swiping functionality. And the way we do that is we append it to team row. So we defined our team row there. We're going to call .swipe actions. And you can see, there you go, like you already got autocomplete. Then we take the first one. So take out the content. I don't like either overload. I want edge colon dot trailing. I'm going to start with the buttons on the right. Open up my curlies. So now I'm going to start defining buttons. For each button I want on the trailing side, or aka the right side of the list, by saying button. And its action will be a print statement. We'll just say mark as favorite. All right. And its label will be, open up new curlies, and we'll say label favorite, comma, and we'll use system images. So we'll say system image. And I'm going to use the star system image. All right. Now let's give this button a tint. So dot tint of dot yellow. All right. That's our first button. Now our next button, its action is going to be to print out to the console, delete. All right. And its label will be, we'll put in a label and we'll say this will be delete. It's going to have a system image of the trash icon. And its background tint will be dot red. All right. Let's give it a run. Go to our swiping list, swipe YOT, and there you go. You've got your two buttons. If I click on the trash icon, there's delete. If I swipe Yina, whoops, click on it, mark as favorite. All right. And so now you know how to do, now know how to do this. All right. Now how to do buttons on the right. What about buttons on the left? So let's add those in too. So we're going to add another swipe actions. So we'll put that right there. So I'm going to say dot swipe actions. Edge would be leading. All right. Open up my curlies. Button. We'll say print. We'll say share. We'll say label. And we'll say within label, we'll put a label in. Share. System image will be square dot and dot arrow dot up. All right, so that's a system image. Put some tint in it, so dot tint will be dot green. All right, now we run it again. All right, swipe this way for voila. You can see now we have the share button. All right, and there you have it. So now we've actually completed our app. We've learned how to do an expanding list. All right. We've also learned how to search, all right, by typing in something, a search text. And now we've learned how to swipe. Okay. Until the next video, take care. Bye for now.